The power of snow compels us all to slow down. That's quite a good thing, wouldn't you say? As always, I start these little videos in the Spiritual Haiku Explored series with a kind of like a little haiku to get the ball rolling. And before you all disappear, stick with it because there is a meaning to this. No doubt you seen the title and you're thinking, huh? Oh, what's that got to do with snow? I'll explain it to you. When you think about it, snow, it kind of slows everything down, doesn't it? So imagine that you're out, you're driving to work in this, and you're thinking, like, crying out loud, this is horrendous. Especially us in the UK, when it comes along, it's like, there's a little bit of mayhem. Because we're not so great at gritting roads, like I know some of you countries, like in America or Canada, for example. We're a little bit backward in that regard because, in all honesty, can't really justify spending all that money all the time for clearing the roads. But if you can imagine, so that just makes it, if you're driving it with a normal, like, front wheel drive like myself, um, you can do it because I've done it. But my God, it's like every little bump on the way, you think, oh, crikey, am I going to skid? Am I going to, go into the side of into a hedge or whatever, lose control of the car? There's always that worry, but on the whole, you manage to get by unless it's really thick. And then you just think, oh, let's not go that way. I mean, I've been on roads where I literally got stuck on a hill once going, it's like this way. I was just trying to go up the hill and then come back down again, and up the hill, back down again. And when I decided, what's not happening, went back, it was like a crazy, crazy roller coaster ride back home, and the snow was still falling. And when I mentioned it to the people in London, 'cause I was commuting from Kent to London at the time, they thought, like, what are you talking about? There's hardly any snow here. And then I showed them the pictures on my Facebook, and I go, oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, that is, don't worry about it, Gary. You'll come back when you're good and ready, my friend. And so this is sort of like what I'm getting at. So we're compelled to driving that, and it's kind of like makes us slow down. It makes us kind of like think, can't really go anywhere with all of this. And I want to apply it now to look at our lives in a similar way. So this is where I'm really getting to the nub of the message, really, because how many of us work stupidly long hours, and it drains our spirit. It really kind of like makes us do that. But we feel like, oh, we must do this. Before I go on and more into it, it's Friday, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'd like to give you guys something for those who are here. And when I'm talking about something that zaps your energy, really brings you down, if you drop in the comments, Gaz, send me energy. I will send you some distant healing, some distant Reiki on Sunday. I shall prepare it for it to arrive 8 p.m. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, whatever that equivalent is in your country, or obviously if you're in the UK, it will come at that time for you. And all you have to do simply is just sit back, relax, and just chill yourself down for a little 20 minutes and just receive that energy. Some of us may feel it, some of us may not, because we're all a bit different. But even if you don't feel a thing, you've still got 20 minutes to yourself. So it's a win-win, isn't it? And this really is what it's about for me with the snow. Slow down. Stop all this crazy, crazy working. And I can almost hear it now. And I get it because I've been there. I've worked like used to go work from the afternoon, work right through into the night shift, into the early hours of the morning. Come, where do you think I got these panda eyes from? You know, it was from those long evenings, and also, yeah, I'm too much looking at PC screens as well. But the job was, you're not meant to do that, you know. Now, I'm not saying to you stop working, of course not. That we have sort of things to do. But let's really think about the balance, your life balance, the balance of having a good, steady life where you get some money that you earn and you kind of like live your life according to what you get. And unfortunately, this materialistic ideal that we've been sort of like pumped into us, It's a capitalist ideology, which is like you gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta smash these targets, you gotta be productive, you gotta do all these kind of crazy things. Goes against the human spirit, And I've learned of all these PPIs and or sort of like of making all these targets that have got to be met, and someone sitting in an office saying tick tock tick, oh yeah, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. They've never done anything like it in their life. But it comes to the poor old people doing the long hours to keep on hitting those targets. It ain't healthy. It's not healthy for you. Take a time out and start to realize that this is not the way of things. This is not how we are meant to be. And I'll tell you now a story that I remember someone told me years ago. I used to work for HMV. That's a company, if you're not aware, I'm sure you probably are aware, but it's a big old music company. Used to be massive back in the day. It's still around. It almost went under, but they kind of bounced back to their credit. But there was a guy I used to work with, and he used to work in a post office, and he told me a story about a guy that worked in a post office. Now, this guy in his 20s, he would work all the hours under the sun. He'd work day shift, night shift, mid shift, whatever. Someone said to him, there's overtime on offer. He said, yep, I'm your man. I'll go out there and I'll do it. And he earned a lot of money, because he was doing all this overtime. And he aspired to, to build it. And if you talk about someone who's working hard, this guy was it. He was dead by the time he was 40. Think about that for a moment. Just think about that. You're working all those hours, all that time, and for what? And I'm sure when he was called upstairs to the great creator, and said, like, okay, what did you do with your life? Well, I worked all these hours. And the creator said, yeah, but what did you do? You just run around in circles all day, all night. And I'm sure I would have said, that's not what you're there for. This is not our lot. We're not here just to be robots. I'm sure people will tell you otherwise. This is quite controversial what I'm saying because, people say like, oh, hold on, you should be productive. You should be like, hitting all your targets. You should be doing all this. I'm saying, no, no, don't. Because if it is doing damage to you, sort of like physically, emotionally, psychologically, because imagine the stress you're under. You're thinking, oh, I've got to get this done. I've got to get this done. If I don't get it, I'm in trouble and all this nonsense. Who's the one who decides whether we're in trouble? Who are these people? They're faceless individuals put in these roles. And when you think about it, really think about it, it'd be great if a few more said, no, I'm not doing it. I'd say to them, we'll sack you. We're going to sack you. Go on then. If enough people said, go on then, they'd soon realise they can't do it because it is sort of like goes against the grain, doesn't it? It goes against the grain. And we are kind of taught that from a young age to get into that energy of you must work, you got to work hard. It's even come from our sort of like ancestors and forebears. I've said to them, yeah, you can work by all means. You put your heart into soul. I'm putting my heart and soul into these videos. I really love doing this. And that's another important point as well. I'll come to in a second. But we got to kind of enjoy what we're doing. You don't have to flog yourself till your energy is so ragged, so run dry that literally your eyes are on stalks, your body's like, it might be strong on the outside, but inside it's suffering, and this is where I get into things like night shift. People that work night shifts again, and you do it because you get paid a premium, sort of like maybe double the rate of the day shift, or, or there's a big discrepancy in the money you earn. Guys, you're not bats, you're not bloody vampires. Your human body is designed to work in the daylight. It is meant to receive sunlight. It is meant to sort of sleep at night. It's the way we're made. So when you try and defy nature and say to yourself, no, I'm going to work all through the night and wonder why you can't sleep during the day because especially in the summer it's really hot and it's daylight's coming through so you might have to wear blooming eye mask so it's dark. It's alien. It's alien. It's not what we are about. Um, like I say, we have eyes to see in the daylight. So the only light we'll see is because we're working at nights. It's artificial light. Everything around you is artificial. It is not the kind of like energy we want to be in. So what I would say is like, you need as a race, we need to evaluate that, re-evaluate as much as possible, because it's no small wonder that and I remember hearing from people who work night shifts, always getting health problems. Well, you don't need to be a genius to work out why, because you're not meant to work at night. It's the time of rest to recover, to restore your body clock is going to sleep to tap into those higher energies to bring them into yourself. You can't do this. It's very difficult to do it in the daytime because everything's ski whiff. You're not aligned properly. All your chakras are all over the place. And yeah, eventually the body kind of adapts, I suppose, to some degree, but it can't be really working at its optimum. It's just not feasible. Now imagine year after year after year after year, you're working those hours, and it's like your battery is just being zapped. It's like someone's pulled the plug, and eventually, and this is where illness, a lot of things that come along, people are just running dry and running on empty, and the health problems come. And this is another thing when you think about some workplaces, their breaks are really tiny, aren't they? Where I used to work before, I'm doing what I'm doing now. You get a half-hour lunch break, and there's to be someone watching. Oh, he's a minute late. Tea break, 2 15-minute breaks. Wow, fantastic. It's like don't like give us too much here. Um, to sort of like kind of like try and how are you supposed to refuel properly in that time? So what'll happen? You eat some rubbish. You'll yam it down your sort of mouth as quick as possible, and then it kind of like just you become desiccated. That's how I call it. Dried up, dried out. Even going for a drink, someone will be saying, "Oh, where's he going? He's having a he's been a long time in that toilet." It's crazy, isn't it? It is absolutely bonkers when you really think about it. That these things go on, and the worry is, oh, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done. It is not natural. It is not natural. It's not helpful. And I would say to anybody in those organisations, I'm talking to from the top as well, not just the grunts at the bottom. Think differently. Think differently. Think from a spiritual perspective. Think of how much more and actually better your staff would be. You'd have less sick days for one, because if they'd be working sensible, they'd be feeling that they're not under all this pressure. So your performance is naturally going to improve anyway, because you're healthy, you're in a healthy environment, rather than being in these places where it is oppressive and you're kind of like under the thumb all the time. It is not beneficial to anyone when all your staff are going sick, or when you're self are under pressure. We create these artificial programs, as I call it, that we are all part of. And I wish that we could just separate ourselves from that, step away from the abyss, kind of come back. And this is where the snow comes in. Well, again, because you think Gary's talking about snow and all this kind of like energy, but the snow comes in, it slows us down. And the snow in our lives, if we're not careful, will be those diseases, those afflictions, the general malaise of the human spirit, the human body. And I'm not just talking physical, I'm talking emotional stress levels, but dare I say even a spiritual level. It's just literally pulling the cord out of us, and we are going like this. And we're like turning into flipping like some sort of zombie little robots who rush around. And I see it even now. I mean, there was people at my other job that I was working, and they would come overseas, and they would look like Trojans. They would again work all the hours under the sun, trying to get the triple time, double time, whenever it was on offer. And they'd look at me like I was mad when I'd say, like, "What are you doing? Look after your health." For the sake of, "I need money, I need money." And I'm thinking, you can't take money with you up there. What is the point of running yourself into the ground and sort of by the time you come 40, you're not here anymore? And it's proved, like I said, that story that I told you at the start, it happens. So let's really rethink and try to get what I call the balance, a happy work balance, a happy life balance. We work and we coexist with sort of like things that make us tick. And if we're really lucky, we do work in something we love, of course. That is the ultimate, isn't it? Well, we do something we love and we bring that into our hearts. Then we can really start expressing ourselves, expressing the true light within ourselves. And that is really what I'd love us to do. Let your light shine, shine out bright, shine and be the best you can be. That is really what life is about, isn't it? Being in that energy. So, everyone, stop, slow down, rethink, reappraise. It could be that you've got to make some huge changes. Because, like, for example, obviously, if you was to change from night shift to a day shift job or doing less hours, obviously the income's going to come down. That happens. And then we have to think, what can we change? What can we change to a much better lifestyle? And here's the thing, if you start aligning better to what your a lifestyle that's right for you, your income may come from other sources, mightn't it? You could be end up doing something you love. I'm not saying it will, but you open up that possibility. There's not really much possibility of that if you come home totally zonked. Your eyes are like little, we've got little dashes. They're not eyes, they're just like little flat lines. And you get so tired that you could become overtired, you can't even sleep. No, I'm sure some of us have been there. And then you got to go work the next day and try and do it all over again. Or you start worrying about what's going on, especially if you've got a lot of mental pressure about the job. And this is another sneaky, nefarious thing that's come in over the last few years, ever since COVID especially, is getting people to work from home, which sounds brilliant. It sounds absolutely brilliant, doesn't it? I don't have to go in. All it means is you're chained to that flipping, because there's going to be a sort of like a PC job, isn't it? You're chained to the desk, but you're there at their beck and call, and they demand people in the world of instant messages, phone calls. Well, you're supposed to appear like magic, like some sort of like odd little Aladdin just pops up on screen, and someone could say, "Ah, have you done that thing yet that I asked you to do?" And it's like even more pressure. You don't even go to the kitchen to make a cup of tea, lest you hear a bing or something. I mean, I don't work from home, but this is sort of like how I see things going on, sort of like, oh my God. And again, it's all this, forgive me for going a little bit sort of woo-woo a little bit, but you've got all this Wi-Fi energy all around you and you can't escape. You are in this digital prison. And so that's another kind of thing that, well, I think that's more and more on the rise. And we've got to be aware of that. We are not meant to be chained down, not meant to be sort of like stuck. This is what I'm getting, stuck energy. We are stuck. We are like, I can't move, I can't move because I'm on call. So it is more and more about finding that life balance. And it's not for me to say what is right for you. You got to kind of weigh them things up yourself, obviously, because we have needs. But start looking what you can let go of. Think to yourself, can I cut my hours down? Maybe I do need to go to a job where I don't have to work so long. Even consider part-time jobs, even two part-time jobs. At least things are changing a little bit. It's important that we change things a little bit rather than kind of get stuck in those sort of holes where you're thinking, oh, crikey, can't quite get to where I want to do. So that's the message today. When that snow comes into our lives, it's like a warning for us. It's telling you, step back, think what's right for you. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It's your life. You do what you want and go with that. I mean, that is my message for you to all today. I really hope that is of some use to you. And like I said before, if you want some kind of like Reiki energy, just like I say, put in below, Gary, send me energy or something along those lines. I will reply to you and it will be my absolute pleasure to send you some beautiful energy. And the great thing is, because it's universal energy, it's limitless, it's not a problem. It could be one person, it could be 200,001 people sending. I can send that energy exactly the same to all of you because we tap into it and send. It's just, I'm literally like a, like a, comes to me and I send it to you. It's like I just guide it. I say, okay, that's going off there and it will go to you. So have a little bit of faith in that as well. I know some people, if you're into Reiki, you just know, don't you? And hopefully, because this is a spiritual channel, quite a few of you hopefully will understand that. If not, give it a go. Why not? Much love to you all. Thank you so much for listening. And please do comment, put some comments in the little section below there because I love to hear from you people. I really do. Take care. See you soon.